typically think of DNA, we think of the chromosomal DNA, which occurs in a cell. But there are a lot of other DNA elements that are accessory to that chromosomal DNA. Those include plasmids, which can confer things like antibiotic resistance to their host. But they also include things like viruses, which would take over a host cell in order to produce more viruses. So we just published a preprint that studies these giant enigmatic DNA elements that inhabit archaea. Archaea are these unicellular organisms, much like bacteria, but they're highly understudied compared to bacteria and eukaryotes. And that whole domain of life, that includes some archaea known as methanopteridins. These are methane oxidizing, which means that they take methane from the environment and respire it or metabolize it to form other compounds instead of oxygen.
So these extrachromosomal DNA elements that we found, they don't resemble any known DNA structure that has been classified or observed before. So they're unlike chromosomal DNA, unlike plasmid DNA, and unlike viruses that are known so far. Therefore, we came up with a new name, which is Borg, and that can be explained by, well, Star Trek fans, because these DNA elements have taken up DNA from their host, the methanopteridins, so they've taken over something that wasn't theirs, hence we invented the name Borgs for them. The Borg have a lot of very exciting features unified in their DNA. One of them is that they have genes that have been taken up from their host methanopteridins, but the majority of proteins that are encoded on their genome are actually making proteins that have unknown functions so far, and they don't resemble anything that has been described. Another very striking feature about them is that they have these perfect tandem repeats all over the genome. So that means there is a piece of DNA, and directly after that piece of DNA, it's duplicated or triplicated, or it can be multiplied up to, I think, 40 times.
Many of the genes that are on the Borgs, up to 80% of the genes that are encoded in the DNA are completely unknown, but about 20% are very similar to the ones from their host methanopteridins. And that includes genes like the genes for nitrogen fixation. And that is very important agriculturally, for example, and in the soil where we found these, because they can fix nitrogen, which essentially means that it takes nitrogen from the atmosphere and makes it into nitrogen compounds that the plants can use. And that is something that is a functionality that is likely very augmented in the host while the Borgs inhabit them. What we're also very excited about is that these Borgs really supercharge their host's ability to oxidize methane. Methane is one of the most potent greenhouse gases, 25 to 30 times more so than carbon dioxide. And the Borgs, we think, augment the host's ability to convert that into much less potent compounds. We're very excited about studying these Borgs further and really understanding their impact on climate change and how they could actually be harnessed to mitigate some of the effects of methane production from burning fossil fuels, from rice paddies in agriculture, or from landfills.
Rice is one of the major food sources for humankind, but it's also one of the major sources of methane. So understanding how methane is oxidized by these methanopteridins archaea and how Borgs may be augmenting, regulating, or supercharging the ability of methanopteridins to oxidize methane will be of great value for maybe even agricultural applications in the future.